For language learners, a frequent problem in communication is slow comprehension and lack of fluency. Fast and fluent comprehension is often assumed to be linked to implicit knowledge. This is unconscious knowledge of linguistic rules like grammar rules that we use without awareness. It is widely thought that this implicit knowledge is necessary for native-like comprehension, so fostering its growth should be an important objective of language education. Implicit knowledge is often contrasted with explicit knowledge, which is knowledge of language rules that we use with awareness. There has been a debate on how this type of knowledge are related, and it's not clear how implicit knowledge develops or how we could help learners to develop it. Given the importance of implicit knowledge for fluency, there seems like an important research gap. In our research, we wanted to study what determines the development of implicit knowledge. We looked at two factors. First, explicit knowledge. Second, time spent learning English. Our research question is whether these two factors independently impact implicit knowledge.
Our experiment measured levels of EK and IK for two groups of L2 speakers and for a control group of native speakers. Measuring explicit knowledge is quite straightforward, so we just present subjects with sentences and have them rate whether they are grammatically correct or not. Measuring implicit knowledge is much more challenging and subtle because it's by definition implicit, subconscious, so we can't just go ahead and ask people about it. We use what's known as self-paced reading task, or SPR. This means that participants press a button to advance from word to word, and words are incrementally uncovered. Participants setting their own reading speed. If people spend more on some word, then this means that this word was more challenging to read, was harder to process for the language processing system in the participant's brain. So to measure IK, what we do is called the ungrammaticality violation paradigm. So just to give an example, one of our items that we present to people is, the girl in the room enjoys reading books. The sentence is perfectly grammatical. But if we remove this third person S and say, the girl in the room enjoy reading books, we get a sentence that's ungrammatical. And indeed, native speakers, when reading the sentence, will actually slow down after this grammaticality violation, which means that the brain of native speakers somehow is sensitive to such violations and reacts to them. A lot of recent research suggests that these kinds of sensitivities are actually indicative of implicit knowledge, and that to measure IK, we can just measure these slowdown effects in reading times. So we get a window to tap into IK quantitatively. So that's what we did on these non-native speakers and on the native speakers. Let's have a look at what the results were. So we did the clear effect of this grammaticality-induced slowdown for the native speakers, but the effect was more complicated for the non-native speakers. They didn't always slow down, and whether they slowed down, how much they slowed down, was modulated by a bunch of different factors. So we did find clear evidence for the two factors that we're interested in. So one of them being the explicit knowledge, as we could measure in this grammaticality judgment task, and the other one being the exposure to English as measured by time spent learning English. These two both impacted independently. People with more explicit knowledge reacted more to ungrammaticalities. People with longer exposures also reacted more independently of their levels of EK, showing that both of these factors act independently